then we watched one more thing this weekend. A very long thing this weekend. We ended up watching the 6-hour race, the World Endurance Championship in Interlagos in Brazil. So we had the hypercar category racing as well as the LMGT3 category. And if you've been following our channel, of course, in the LMGT3 category, the team of our heart are the Iron Dames. So, of course, I feel like for me, at least, that was the main reason why I watched.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love endurance racing anyways.
Yes.
But it does help, of course, to watch the Iron Dames because not only they are a really popular team, but they are also very good.
Yes,
you know?
a very competitive team.
Going into the race, the Iron Dames did qualify. Celia Martin put them in 7th position, so she did make it into the Hyperpole, which is good because she has been struggling with qualifying a little bit. So it was really awesome. I did also wanted to point out that hometown hero Eduardo Barrichello, son of Rubens Barrichello, former F1 racer raced in Ferrari together with Michael Schumacher. His son actually put the Aston Martin, the racing spirit of Le Mans, on P1.
Yes.
Really, really awesome. Of course, home race for him, probably the track that he loves the most and is most familiar with.
Yeah.
Interlago is a really awesome track. I've done plenty of laps around that track as well. So it was really, really awesome for him to be able to, put his team on, put the best foot forward. I would
exactly.
say.
And then also his dad was also racing
Yeah.
in the hypercar category, right?
No, he was racing in a different...
Is he also an LMGT3?
No. He races in a completely different thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he was there this weekend anyways.
He was there, but when he did his qualifying,
yes,
he was watching in the car. He was waiting. He was watching his son because he's obviously a huge supporter.
Yeah.
So Eduardo is the older brother. So he's, I think, 23 or something like that. And then Fernando or something like that, Felipe, is the one that looks more like Ruben. Who, like, in some pictures I'm like, did you even just hit copy paste, right? But yeah, I did also wanted to point out really quick, big congratulations to the Hertz Team Joda, the Cadillac team, getting P1 and P2 in the Hyperpole for the hypercar category,
which was also I would say maybe a little bit of an upset that Ferrari wasn't even anywhere close.
I would call it an upset because they've been they've been actually doing really, really well in the WEC, obviously winning Le Mans, and they've also won 2 other races this year, and only the customer car, the 83 Ferrari, actually made it into the Hyperpole and qualified in P9. And then we had the Porsche Penske in P3. However, going into the race, the Cadillac started 1 and 3 because one of them, the number 1, the car that qualified in P1 got a grid penalty.
Oh, gotcha.
So now talking a little bit about the race. I think the big takeaway I want to say is what a well-behaved race it was. We
100%.
didn't have a single safety car.
Not a safety car, not a virtual safety car.
We only had some full course yellows, but it was because of debris on track. Because they were selling stuff in the merch store. I guess that is kind of like, how do you call it?
Like
kites?
a kite.
And that fell onto the track. So that's ended up in a full course yellow. But other than that, probably the most well-behaved race of the season.
I mean, especially coming from a 4-hour race in Spa?
Well, that was ELMS.
Oh, okay. But still, that was the last endurance race we watched. But that one was absolute chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, like constant yellow flags and full
Especially
course yellows. And I mean, it was bonkers. So going into this race, I was like, okay, 6 hours. We'll see how much will happen. I mean.
But just like Le Mans was also really, really well behaved. In 24 hours, we got 1 safety car, right?
That's so true.
So while I like it that they were well behaved, 2 safety cars in a 6-hour, I would have not been mad about.
No. Yeah.
No.
No. Video in German. No, I wouldn't have been upset about it too. I wouldn't say that the race was boring, but it wasn't. There was not a lot of. I mean,
it was really tight in all categories. If
yes,
you think about
there was definitely there was a lot of on-track action, like lots of overtakes, because overtakes can also be partially very tricky in certain areas of the track where there's lots of like the curvy S sections. So there's like traffic can help you or hurt you just how it
Yeah,
is. So you could definitely sense it in both categories that were racing there this weekend. So that's what made it really interesting. And then there was really a fight for the podium. The podium wasn't clear really until it was really the end of the race.
Correct.
Like all steps of the podium.
Yeah, all steps for
yes,
that.
the first place in both races was they
In
had a
both
little bit
categories,
of a both categories. They had a little bit of a lead, so that was pretty sure. But then there was definitely still some battling for 2 and 3. For in both categories for a while, which is the part that really made it exciting.
Yes, I will say very, very big upset or really unfortunate for the number 15 BMW in the hyper. My phone autocorrected to hypermarket, not hypercar category. Who after lap 1 already had to come into the pits and were immediately out. Then there was this thing with the Peugeot that had the red light.
No, that was the Alpine.
Oh, the Alpine.
Yes.
Also so super unfortunate.
Yes, but they were able to rejoin later from what I had heard. So that was good, but they were just, of course, several laps behind by the time they had it fixed. So that's always such an upset. But it was kind of cool to see a little bit of a different cars in the front. We had some really great battling with one of the Aston Martins also, the 009 or 009 Aston Martin, because he was actually competing with the Ferrari, which was really fun to see, and also the Toyota. So it's nice that they're getting more competitive, especially because it is their first season.
Yeah,
now.
And I think this is the 6th. I think they have 2 more races and then they're allowed to make big adjustments to the car because they have to do a minimum of 8.
Yeah, but I mean, they're already making improvements just by...
I don't know if it has to be in the WEC. Maybe they're already able because they are making improvements. The car is getting better, where the Ferrari is getting worse.
Yeah, but it was but yeah, so first for the hypercar category, we ended up having 2 Cadillacs on the podium, 1 and 2, and then we had the Porsche Penske Motorsport on number 5 in 3rd place, which was really fun. It was definitely a moment where the Porsche was maybe in contention to take the 2nd place to split the Cadillacs.
I mean, originally off the start, the number 5 Porsche took actually the lead of the race.
Yes.
They actually overtook everyone and they were building a gap, but then, 6 hours later, it just doesn't happen. To point out, though, there was a 1.8 second gap between P1 and P2 and P3, right? So it is, after 6 hours, that is incredibly close.
Yes.
But and also, of course, big congratulations to Cadillac for making first time winning a WEC race. And I don't know if it's the first time on the podium, but I think for the very first time winning a WEC race, it's the first time a team, the Hertz team Jota, has won with 2 different manufacturers actually a race. They used to be Porsche.
Yes.
Which I'm a little sad about that you guys are winning and not with Porsche anymore. Because Porsche Penske is always right there.
Yeah, so close.
And then also really big congratulations because Jenson Button was in the 2nd hypercar that came in a 2nd place in a Cadillac. And this was his first hypercar pole.
WEC win.
Sorry, not pole.
Podium
in the WEC, which is obviously really, really awesome.
Yes.
Jenson Button is, of course, former F1 champion, or he's an F1 champion, and he won 8 races in his whole F1 career. It's my favorite fun fact about F1, that 8 races.
Got him a win.
Well,
got him a...
I don't think they were all in the same season.
Oh, that's even wilder.
That's what an amazing season to actually be watching.
Yes,
I mean, of course, they didn't do as many races as they do now.
But yeah, it's kind of cool to see that we have 2 Cadillacs, 2 Porsches, and then what I was also excited about was the BMW in 5th, which was really, really nice. And then we had 2 Peugeots before we have the first Ferrari.
The factory.
Yes.
No, not the customer. The one that Robert Kubica is racing.
The one that won Le Mans just recently.
Exactly.
Yes.
Which I'm also kind of excited that it's Robert who's having so much success.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, P8 is bad for Ferrari.
Yeah.
This is not where they want to be at, especially because they've been consistently on the podium, I think, every race in the WEC.
And it's also, we didn't really see them. We didn't really see a lot of
zero
them.
Pace. They had no pace.
Yeah, we didn't really see a lot of them. They did get some penalties. I remember that was the few times they really
They
caught
need
my
to really
attention.
clean this shit up because they in Le Mans, how many penalties the fuck did they give? Not
Crazy.
good.
Yeah. But then now moving on to LMGT3.
So LMGT3, the Iron Dames, as we said, they started in, what was it again? 7th. Celia Martin usually starts out all of their endurance championship, which is she's the bronze driver. All drivers have to have a minimum of race time. The Iron Dames always elect to have her go first, or they have been doing this for a long time now. Also, when they race in the ELMS. Unfortunately, she immediately lost 2 positions in the start. However, 2 hours later, bless you, when she got out of the car, she was in P4th.
Yeah.
She drove all the way up to the front, and she wasn't only racing against other bronze drivers. There was other, gold rated or silver rated drivers that she was racing against, and she really held her own.
Yeah, because she also stayed in the car a little bit longer than some of the other starting drivers. So then she ended up, of course, driving against other people. But yeah, she made up a great amount of time, made up several positions, which was nice. So the Iron Dames were in contention for the podium.
Potentially also for P1, let's be real.
Yeah, for quite some time, which was so exciting. Equally as nerve-wracking.
Yes, because we did then have Rahel Frey taking over the second stint. She is their silver-rated driver. It wasn't Sarah Bovey this time. It was Rahel who got a chance to drive. And she did a really, really excellent job. The one thing with the Iron Dames, and I know this time around it didn't work out, right? But the Iron Dames, and they said this also in one of the interviews and stuff like that, one of their really outstanding qualities is, in my opinion, that they're very good at usually staying out of trouble and also not inquiring any like unnecessary penalties.
Yeah.
So this is something that really, they have a lot of like really, really clean racing, which helps. And there's also like really consistent in doing their laps and hitting their apexes and all that stuff, regardless of whether or not they're hunting or being hunted. So that means when Rahel Frey got out of the car, technically she was P1. But if you then have all the pitting cycle and stuff like that, she was P3.
Yeah.
When Michelle Gadding, who still has a broken foot, got into the car, Michelle actually raced last weekend in the ELMS, and she said she didn't feel any pain. So she did a full stint, which was 2.5 hours, I think she did, in the car. That being said, me talking them up all the way, unfortunately, she did got a yellow flag, full course yellow infringement. So that means she had to drive through the pit, which cost them a lot of time.
But also luckily, in a way, it is a shorter pit here or was in Brazil than if she would have had to do it somewhere else.
Like Le Mans, you'd be cooked.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Because it just, depending on how long the pit lane is,
I think Imola is also insanely long, so yeah.
Yeah, so that helped. But then it was also, we were a little bit wondering especially at the very end, why she was on much older tires than the people who she was competing with. Because at first she was then competing, even with the penalty, she with her last pit, they just had to splash, like fill her up a little bit, so it was really short. So she came out in second
place, and really she came out like 3/10 ahead of the second place, the third place then, which was the TF Sport, the Cadillac.
No, that was the Corvette.
The Corvette, sorry, not the Cadillac.
But it was like 20 minutes left. So not too much time left, but still enough time.
Yeah.
But then, it's just partially, I mean, you had said it when we were watching it, the Porsche is really light. It uses less fuel, which is nice. However, it doesn't quite have the speed in the straights.
Not on this setup, not on this track.
Yeah, and they were great in the curvy sections, but then it got, of course, really tricky once they got to the long straights, and also with slipstream and things like that. It got really tricky. And then so she ended up losing position to the Corvette.
Yeah.
And then there was still
a 6 second gap.
No, it was more than that.
With 7 minutes to go, I think it was 6 seconds.
Maybe. So, but then that was Ruben Barrichello's son was behind them.
Eduardo, yeah.
And coming and getting closer and getting closer and ended up passing them. Yeah. Unfortunately. I mean, she battled it really nicely. I mean, fair but hard.
Yeah.
She like kept her line. She made the Porsche as wide as she possibly
Yeah.
could. But
Take
then
up as much space on the track as you can.
yeah, and then but of course there's also traffic to take into consideration.
And then the shootout on that final straight, it's just, you're going to have room to get around it eventually,
Of
right?
course. And then it's also being on the older tires potentially.
I mean, I think out of the top, out of P2 and P3, she definitely was on the oldest tire, and which I thought was such an interesting choice, because I think I don't know if they didn't have any more tires available. I would have been surprised if they didn't. But to switch the tires, she would have probably lost maybe another 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But overall, she ended up losing almost 10 seconds.
Well, it's a little bit longer switching tires in WEC.
Because I looked it up, and
and
it said on average you might lose like 3 seconds on top of the fueling,
Okay.
whatever, right?
Okay.
Depending, maybe let's say 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But with that fresh set of tires, I think she would have at least been able to race for P3.
Yeah.
I don't know if she would have had the speed to catch the Corvette. I cannot gauge that. But
she would have at least had a little bit more of a fighting
but
chance.
if you think about it, their best lap was a 134.4, and the Cadillac's best lap was a 135.3. So they were almost, their fastest lap was almost a second faster than the Cadillac.
I'm looking at the Cadillac was 135.342.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And
I
then
looked at the
the
Aston Martin.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I got
and
it
then
mixed
the
up.
Iron Dames was 135,
So 2/10 faster.
So 2:10. So, but maybe there would have been a little bit of room
But
in there.
I think at least she would have had enough of a gap to defend P3.
Yeah.
And it was really heartbreaking to watch that at the end, for them to just literally in the last lap or second to last lap slip out of the podium. Very, very heartbreaking, because this is not, unfortunately, the first time where strategy has let down the Iron Dames a little bit. I remember last year in Spa we had that, where the Iron Dames, where the driver was told, hey, you can push, and then on the last lap they were like, hey, you have to come in for fuel. I was like, well, why didn't you tell me to lift and coast then? And that ended up costing them the podium.
It's so frustrating. But yeah, so it's a little bit upsetting. I mean, it's good that they ended up coming in fourth.
Yeah.
But I know, of course, they would want more, and I think there would have been at least a podium in there for them.
Yeah. I think a podium would have been very, very realistic. Whether then without the penalty, you know, or then doing that. I think maybe if they didn't have the penalty, maybe then they would have opted for the tire change, because then like we have enough.
Yeah, I
time.
mean, because it does take several seconds.
I think, what is a 10-second loss or something like that?
I don't remember
Going through the
exactly
pits.
how many it is, but it's still like that cost them, and then the tires cost them. So if we would have gotten rid of one of those two losses, I think there was potentially a podium in there. But
but I think the big takeaway, what I want to say, the last thing I probably want to say about the Iron Dames is actually that they did outperform the other Porsche. I don't know if it's considered the factory Porsche, the Manthe First Form team, the 92 Porsche, and they outqualified them and they outraced them today, which is really, really great to see.
Yes.
Because there's obviously now a partnership with the Iron Dames and Porsche, which of course makes us very proud.
Yes, because we are literally from the place where Porsche is built.
Yeah.
Porsches are built in our home garage.
Exactly. I will also say you have to give a big tip of the hat to the Lexus team, who ended up coming in P1.
Yes.
They were very, very strong right off the get-go. They qualified in the front and they finished in the front. Very, very strong performance. Also, of course, really, really strong performance by the Corvette. And of course, part of me is the only reason why I'm probably not nearly as crushed is because the hometown hero did make it onto P3. And then for the audience, if you're Brazilian and you're watching him making that overtake on the second to last lap.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What a fantastic moment. But of course, if you're on the other side and you're an Iron Dames fan, it is crushing.
It is. And also, he also ended up winning the driver of the day.
Which, of course,
I mean,
well deserved.
That's
Well
fine.
deserved.
Exactly. He got the pole.
Mm-hmm.
He drove where his whole team had an excellent race.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's just an extra thing when you're at home
Yeah.
and get to experience this. So what an achievement for a driver, and especially also a young driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's great. I mean, I think it was an entertaining race.
Yeah.
I think we had overall a very successful race weekend.
I think so too.
And with MotoGP, the World WCR, as well as the WEC. Oh, I hate that I said it. Yes.
So when are they back?
Oh.
Do we know? Do you have the calendar?
Well, yeah,
up?
they're going to be back for Austin next.
Okay.
So that should be the beginning of
They're
September.
going to be racing in Japan, Fuji. Woo!
Yeah. So first, the WEC will be back the first weekend of September, so September 7th. They'll be racing here in Austin, Texas. Then after that, September 28th, they'll be in Japan. And then they'll finish the season November 8th in Bahrain.
Very, very cool.
Yes.
Is there anything else you have to share with me for today?
Nope. That's all I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
the racing.
same thing. I don't really have any news. If I did, I forgot about it. But we watched lots of racing.
Yes.
Sometimes I wish, can we do the endurance races on Saturdays?
I know. I wish it would not take up all of our Sundays.
Yeah, honestly. It's just so you can space it out, you know?
No, I agree.
Yeah, first world problem to the max.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys, everyone, for tuning in. If you're on Spotify, as always, hit that follow, give us 5 stars. And then if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe, get in the comments, let us know what you watched.
Yes.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye.